definitely one that's not going to, she's not going to open much.
Great opening shot by Wendy Macpherson. First look at Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard. North Richland Hills, Texas, 35 years old. 11 years of pro and 9 titles. So she's trying to get closer to that mark of how many years and how many titles.
Well, what a talented player she is. She practices so much during the week, and she's just perfected her game.
She is playing way out.
Well, that wasn't one of Carolyn's best shots, but she knew that, you know, she got away with it. Look, she was very high there. Usually you're going to see her left leg is very low and bent at the foul line, and you're going to see her trail foot on the floor.
Talked about the great year, 2 titles already, 4 TV finals, 9 top 24s,
10 cashes, and $51,725 in earnings. Once again, that is with incentives.
And that's through 10 events, not including this event, the 11th one. And she'll take that. Kick the 4-pin out of there. Fortunate.
Well, you betcha. She always is a little bit of a slow starter on television. Ball coming up pretty high here. Got a real good break that she tripped the 4-pin out. Left herself with a 6-10, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to, you know, put the old kiss of death on her and say that she is the, if not the best, one of the best spare shooters out here.
Okay, you're safe. She covers it up. Saw that average for Carolyn, 224.64 this week. Wendy Macpherson averaging 214.55 to qualify second. 10 pins per game different. Wendy's year, 1 title only, but 7 TV finals. 10 top 24. Also 10 cashes and 66,000 in earnings.
And sneaking up on the $1 million mark. It's only $58,205 short, I believe.
That's a goal of hers, too.
Yes, she said that at the beginning of the year she made that a goal. This ball checked up pretty early. Lanes might be starting to hook a little bit more out there. They're getting a lot of play. Left herself with a pretty big split, and that's one that if you can't just, you know, heave it down the lane pretty hard, you're not going to make it. So take your count and make a better shot on the next lane.
Carolyn's looking down, not paying attention. She defeated Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard 5 out of 6 times in championship matches. That's a huge record.
Wow, look at the pin action on that ball. That thing that came roaring back from the gutter.
I mean, in the FedEx.
Watch this ball. Look at the revs on it. Watch it. It's going to make a turn right there. They didn't stand a chance.
Well, Carolyn led this event from start to finish. As we said, she told us first time in her career she's led one completely start to finish. And a break there. Now, it's tough to lead like that, as you talked about, and then it could be all over today.
That's right. Come out, you know, you only got 1 game, and it's win or lose. Even with a more than 400 pin lead, you still got to perform in that last game. But it's early yet, and the important thing right here is Carolyn staying clean. She's not making the best shots that she knows how to make just yet. But, you know, I'm going to say right now, watch the difference in those first 3 versus her last 3 frames.
Well, even though she's not making her best shots, as you mentioned, she leads by 11 pins because of that split Wendy Macpherson had. Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard stepping up in the 4th frame, and Carolyn told us that she's not usually a striker. She wouldn't think she'd lead a tournament by this much because she's more of a grind-out player.
Well, that's what she says.
That's what she says.
You know, she can strike with the best of them. Don't let her fool you. She's playing it cool.
And there's one of those strikes we were just talking about. As we talked about, Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard on top all the way. Nobody too low. Tennille Grahalva down to 20th at one point.
And she had kind of a seesaw right there. 20th to 10th to 19th, and then eventually up to 4th.
Big strike for Wendy, and Lisa talked to Wendy earlier about her.
Oh, we're going to look at their replay first here. She was nice and aggressive, just about left an 8-pin there.
That's a double for Wendy as she steps up in the 5th frame. She trails by 1 pin. She can take the lead with a strike here. 202 career average on television.
Ooh, came up a little bit high.
That's a 4.
You know, like I said, that lane is hooking a little bit more. We're only bowling on 34 feet of oil this week, and he said that he called it flat and wide. So there's oil pretty much all the way across the lane. There's only just a couple of increases in oil, but it goes most of the way across.
Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard is in the lead. We'll be right back with the conclusion of this match.
What does WIBC mean to bowlers?
Winners with over $1,500 in scholarship money this week. There's a look at Tamara Adams. She just became the WIBC 5th Vice President on August 1st. Congratulations, Tamara, and she was here all week. There's a look at the score while we're away. 2 frames. Carolyn, Dorin, Ballard leading by 1 pin. Match basically stayed the same.
Just 1 pin apart. Carolyn getting up to try and take a bigger lead.
She's on a spare in the 6th frame. This is her 7th frame. Wendy is working on a strike, so Carolyn needs to set up a strike. Wow, good break. Almost a great break.
That's right. The last 2 frames, she left 2 5s. Ball came up light. She left a 2-5. Made them both. She looked over at Dell, and I think he told her to stay down a little bit. But I'll tell you, you know, it looks pretty tricky out there because it looks like there's a good bit of dry down the lane there, so they've got to hit it just at the right time.
Well, she covers the spare, and she's a very good teacher. Carolyn talked to us about what she's doing to help educate the junior bowlers.
I'm getting very interested in trying to help out youth bowling and college bowling, actually. Working with Ebony to try to get some clinics through the high school varsity level and try to make high school bowling a stepping stone to college. And there are a lot more high schools now that offer very good programs for bowling that lead you onto the college level. Also in the college area, we'd like to maybe try to get some of those college bowlers, both men and women, out on the tour for a tournament or two to see what it's like to be a pro bowler and maybe instill in them the desire to become a professional afterwards.
Very good cause for Carolyn. She strikes in the 8th frame. She trails by 1 pin because of the 8 count in the 7th frame.
This was a much better shot. Remember what I said about you're going to see a big difference in her last 3 frames from her first 3? Well, there's the 8th frame. She stayed down with that. The ball went the direction it's supposed to go, which she likes it to go down the lane a little bit and roll up into the pocket.
Wendy Macpherson up by 1, can go to 11 with a strike.
Oh no, another.
We saw that earlier. Linda Kelly left a solid 8.
Well, this is just about the worst time for a solid 8 to pop up. Look at this. Same thing as before. 5 pin just kind of lays down flat. Goes right behind it.
That was a great shot.
It sure was. Couldn't have made a better shot in the position she was in. With a spare, she's going to lead by just 1. Big frame here, 9th frame. She's got to set up a strike because Carolyn's on a strike in the 8th with her 9th and 10th to go.
She leads by 1, and if you'd like more information on Wendy, a lot of the players setting up their own websites, and Wendy has one at wendymacphersonbowling.com. Carolyn's going, come on. She's talking to herself.
Well, no 8-pin there. She made sure of that.
Big setup, and this is a huge shot coming up for Carolyn Dorin Ballard as we take a look at Wendy's.
You could see how much speed and aggression she had on that shot. She came right out of her shoes just about at the foul line. But she got the job done.
Well, she knows that 8-pin cost her 20 pins between strikes. Max score 225. She can close this out.
Well, you know, I think maybe what's happening is a little bit of the timing problem. See her shoulders a little bit too far forward there, and she's missing her leverage point. But I think, you know, she feels like she's got to throw it pretty hard out there. You know, when you don't feel so comfortable, things happen in your game. But she said that she has been having that problem, and her feet get quick, her shoulders get forward, and is causing her to have to pull through the ball, and you just don't have the consistency that you need to have.
Wow, that definitely changed the game. The best Carolyn Dorin Ballard can shoot is 193.
But she knows that, like we saw in the last match, anything can happen.
That's right. She needs to strike out to force Wendy to mark. Coming up light, 258. Has to be a huge disappointment.
Oh, there's a look at her. She stayed down real good with that shot, but, you know, they're a little bit tighter out there. You know, I got a feeling maybe that she's hoping that she would have maybe chosen some different rolling equipment, some equipment that would roll up in a different part of the lane. Because I think this is forcing her to throw a little bit harder and a little bit more aggressive than she likes to.
Covers up that spare. Best she can do now, 183. So Wendy will just be looking at needing some decent pin count. So barring a disaster.
And that strike in the ninth for Wendy was very important, because if she was on a spare, we would be looking at a whole different story.
So a score of 182 for Carolyn Dorin Ballard. Wendy Macpherson will need 9 on 2 balls. 9 pins, 2 shots. And the title belongs to Wendy Macpherson. There's more to come of the Southern Virginia Open presented by Ebonite. Don't go away.
Awesome. Like and subscribe.